On the consciousness of human nature, it's possible that we can come to a higher aware state of being. That means that we understand why we are in so much pain. To do this, or to acknowledge this, and to begin to see oneself. The idea of self-observation, as Gurdjieff talks about, the idea of self-observation is to observe what are we feeling, observe our emotions. Are we in pain? Are we in pleasure? What specific emotions are we feeling? But consciousness is beginning to be a state of awakening. What is awake? As I mentioned, our true intelligence. What is that? It's the part of the mind that thinks clearly, that endeavors to think clearly. And then what is the mind? The mind consists of ideas. Some ideas are clear, and many of our thinking and ideas are confused. Where do these ideas come from? Again, that will be another topic. What is an idea? Very simple, but also difficult to understand what an idea is. But the mind is an idea, is a thinking thing. The mind is not the body. The brain is a storage of information. The brain is not the mind. So the mind is an intangible thinking thing, and it can come to a higher level of consciousness. Unfortunately, since infancy, we all have been groomed, or to say conditioned, to be in a sleep state nature. Again, what is a sleep? Is this true intelligence? What is the work that I'm proposing? Is learning how to awaken our intelligence. To awake means that we can see objectively, to see clearly. What does that mean? I'll give you an example. When you were learning as a child in, say, the age of 4, 5, 6, or 7, mathematics. I'll give myself as an example. I had a difficulty with, say, multiplications. I'm probably in the second grade, first or second grade. And now, mind you, I'm a slow learner, very slow. I was always put in the slow reading group. And that was when I was in the 8th grade. So I take things very slow. So when I was a child, 6, 7, 8, multiplications was very difficult. And one day, as I was trying to understand, put in the effort, now the effort is required. There's an inner effort of forcing of the mind to want to understand. And that is what we're talking about. The true intelligence is the understanding. And that's why Spinoza talks about how to improve our understanding. He has a whole part in his ethics dedicated to improving our understanding, because if the understanding is not improved, meaning that learning how to see reality, to see what actually exists in reality. I'll give you an example. Most people believe in free will. We all do. I did too, until I studied Gurdjieff and Spinoza, particularly Spinoza. If we're conditioned early in life, since infancy, and we imitate our adults, our parents or guardians, and our main desire is to survive, and we are held captive by the whims, the nature, the beliefs, the attitudes, the energy, the confusions of our adult, by the adults. We learn how to walk because we see them walking. We learn how to talk by how they talk. And we have their genetics. We have their color, So you can see that you are made up by, not from your free will, but from the laws of nature. The laws of nature. The understanding that Spinoza is communicating is how can we begin to see the laws of nature? When you see someone, say you're in the market, you rush in, you're on your way to an appointment, a doctor's appointment, but you want to stop for a few minutes to get some groceries. And you imagine yourself, again, imagine that you go in and out. Well, when you go into this market, which you frequent, you've been there before, and there are usually about 3 cashiers. This is a small store, and there's only one working at that time. And there's a line, and now you're standing in line. You made an assumption. Now look at that assumption that you're going to go in and out. Now you're beginning to feel tense. You're standing in line, and someone in the front of the line is having a problem trying to complete their transaction. You're getting angry. Now, it's interesting that Spinoza explains what is the emotion of anger, and this is self-observation. As you begin to observe yourself, you'll begin to activate the part of the mind that wants to understand. See, the other part of the mind, called the passive part, is comprised of inadequate ideas. That is where the ego manifests, expresses its nature. The understanding wants to know what is going on now. The understanding lives in the present. You may have heard of other teachers, and so-called spiritual teachers, especially, say, Eckhart Tolle. Talks about being in the present, being in the now. Well, how do you do that? This is it. How to be in the now. If you have any questions, you can see my website. Looking forward to communicating these ideas, and I have other ideas I'd like to share.